Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, la la. Please join me. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. La 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 la. La la la
Welcome. Is it working? Welcome and Shabbat Shalom. I'm Randy Zeidelman, here to introduce our service tonight. Robin Brzezowski, Jan Letvin, and I met over the course of the past 6 months to plan and prepare for tonight's Brit Nashim service. We are honored that so many of you agreed to participate in tonight's service, and we appreciate everyone who is here, including and especially our B'nai Mitzvah family. Thank you for allowing us to be, where are you, that there? Thank you allowing us to be part of your special weekend. A team of 4 prepared and will present tonight's Devar Torah. That team includes Barbara Federlin, Rachel Hafman, Judith Ross, and me. Our work together over the past several months has been fun, challenging, and enriching. We hope your thoughts and ideas will move you to do it yourselves or maybe differently when we get together again next year. As always, Toby Colton and Joanne Roberts are here. Thank you. They have led us with their quiet, kind, and energetic and respectful style to get us all ready to be here tonight. Thank you.
Shabbat. This is it, to come from the blazing sunlight into the dim quiet of the sanctuary. This is the end of the week and the beginning. This is the moment of pause. This is the refilling of the empty vessel, the renewing of the spirit. This is the remembering, the shared memory of 2,000 years, and the shared embarking upon 2,000 more. This is the hearth, the gathering together of the pain and the joy. This is the tears and gentle laughter. This is the benign wisdom in an old one's eyes, and the hope in a child's fresh voice. The roots into the past and the arms stretched forward into the future. This is a great warmth, the great at-homeness. This is the knowledge of belonging, the loneness merging into a strong oneness. The last drop of water filling its way into the sea. The Torah gleams white and silver, and we stand singing in prayer, singing and praying, our hearts warm with peace, our spirits quiet in the quietness of Shabbat. Yeah.
And please join me in the prayer book on page 138 as we continue with Lecha Dodi. And as is our minhag, our custom here at Congregation Sinai, we're going to do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And when we reach the final of those verses, verse 9, at that point, I will ask you to please rise and face the door through which we came in this evening. Page 138 for Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat mekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat mekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad yishmi'anu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shemo tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat mekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat mekabela. Verse 2, likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor habracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'machshavat chila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat mekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat mekabela. Verse 5, hitoreri, hitoreri, ki ba'orech u'mi'ori, uri, uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat mekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat mekabela. Please rise. Bo'i v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula. Bo'i chala, bo'i chala. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat mekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat mekabela. And please remain standing as we continue with the Chatzi Kaddish, with the half Kaddish, which you'll find on page 144, as we mark the transition from our Kabbalat Shabbat service, our service for the welcoming of Shabbat, to our Ma'ariv service, our service for the evening. Page 144. Yitgadal v'kadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad ifrachiluteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael, Bagala, bagala, uvizman kariv himeru, amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach, le'alam ulam elmaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, vishtabach, vitpa'ar vitroman v'yitnaseh, ve'yitadar, ve'yitale, ve'yitalal, shemei dekudesha, berichu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma ve'imeru. Amen. Page 146. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. And let's continue together on the handouts that were available by the door as we all came in this evening with Roll into Dark, extracted from the blessing Ma'ariv Aravim, the blessing that we say as part of Ma'ariv before the Shema. Roll into Dark, which is on your handouts. Please join me. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Orei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Orei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Baruch atah Adonai HaMa'ariv Aravim. And we'll continue on page 150 with Ahavat Olam. Ahavat Olam, Bet Yisrael, Amecha Ahavta, Amecha please be seated.
Love God with all the power of your heart, with its yearnings and its passions. Love God with all you hold dear in life and with the fullness of whatever world offers you, both joy and sorrow. Teach children to cope, to dream, to stretch, to become their purpose, to live holy lives. Wrap these words along every deed, a garment of holy expression. Let these words shape your home, a dwelling of peace. Wherever you go, scatter the words as seeds, as they drop of water onto the thirsty earth. Nurture trees of life in your garden. Seal these words upon your heart. Let them course through and cleave soul to body and that sacred permeation of your being.
Sing the song of men and women, joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
And please join me as we continue on page 158 with our prayer for freedom with our Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha Bailim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nedar B'Kodesh, Norat Hilot Osefele, Norat Hilot Osefele, Ma'alechotecha Ra'uvanecha, Bokei Hayam Lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'eli, Ze'eli, Anu ve'yameru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Yai bai bai bim bidi bam, Ya ba bai ba bim bam, Yai bai bai bim bidi bam, Ya ba bai ba bim bam, Ay 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 ay, Ya ba bai ba bim bam, Ay 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 ay, Ya ba bai ba bim bam. V'nemar kiver Adonai et Yaakov, ugalo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. And please join me on page 162 as we sing our V'Shomeru together. V'Shomeru v'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם, ברית עולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת, שבת והיא נפש ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם, ברית עולם.
Our service continues on page 165. After that, we'll go back to 164 for the tefillah. On page 165 in the middle, please join me. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will.
Please rise and join me for the Amidah, which begins on page 164. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור עולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומיתו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש בשמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללו חסלה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Please be seated. And we're going to continue, on page 174 with the Ritzei. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael
Please join me on page 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh leodot.
And we'll continue with Shalom Rav, our prayer for peace, on page 178. Please join me. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amecha Yisrael B'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people and Israel and all people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. And we'll take just a few moments for our own silent prayer, our own private reflection, after which we'll come back together again on page 653 with Eli, Eli.
On page 131, you
Mishaberach. You have a reading before the Mishaberach. Come on up.
The Navajo night chant existed prior to 1000 BCE. The Native Americans living in Canyon de Chile, known today as Eastern Arizona, performed the night chant as a healing ritual. It is considered to be the most sacred of the Navajo ceremonies and also believed to be the most difficult to learn. Night Way is designed to assist in curing sick people and restoring the balance and order of human relationships. Please join me. In beauty may I walk, all day long may I walk. Through the returning seasons may I walk. Beautifully will I possess again. Beautifully, birds. Beautifully, joyful birds. On the trail marked with pollen may I walk. With grasshoppers about my feet may I walk. With dew about my feet may I walk. With beauty may I walk. With beauty before me may I walk. With beauty behind me may I walk. With beauty above me may I walk. With beauty all around me may I walk. In old age, wandering on a trail of beauty, lively may I walk. In old age, wandering on a trail of beauty, living again may I walk. It is finished in beauty.
On page 371, you can find the Mishaberach for healing, our way of praying for our friends and loved ones who are in need of such prayers. We think especially of all the hostages and those who have been wounded in the various battles around the world. We think especially in our community of Lucy Adams, Sarah bat Bessie Ben, Rivka Fegi bat Phyllis, Sapira bat Yehudit, Emily Baer, Simcha Meir ben Esther Malka, Nachma ben Belit, Moshe ben Chaya Sarah, Yosef ben Lily Venatan, Kevin Boland, Yosef Carrasco, Katie Peltz Davis, Jessica Edwardson, Roz Flagel, Leonore Fridman, Lisa Frolkis, Kai Michelov Gardner, Susie Garrison, Marianne Gehrig, Sue Gex, David Goldenholtz, Ann Haas, Mitzi Holman, Robin Holmes, Jennifer Houston, Michelle Jacoby, Jeffrey Katz, Pat Kester, Rory Langlois, Moisha Kaufman, Margaret Lowe, Judy Lichtenstein, Jim McDermott, Karen McDermott, Maureen McClown, the members of our sister congregation in Nahariya, Israel, a congregation called Emet V'Shalom, which means truth and peace, Kathy Machero, Don Metzke, Michael Michalski, Bob Neubauer, Bill Nikud, Marla Olek, Bob Radke, Mosi Ramirez, Bill Ross, Martha Ross, Micah Ross, and Sally Ross, Stella Schneider, Ed Schwartz, Gary Siegel, Herb Selden, Jeannie Silver, Ricky Spiegel, Michael Stillman, Martin Strauss, Peter Goldberg, Will Thompson, Deidre Tischberg, Frina Toby, Jen Volker, Kenneth Wexler, and Murray Weinschel. If there are others of whom you are aware who could use our prayers for healing, I would ask you to hold them close to you in your heart as together we pray. Page 371.
4 women are we from Brit Nashim, struggling for 4 months to figure out what our Torah portion means. Meeting regularly to find a thread running through each of the verses, we found our strong reactions instead. The message revealed in Parsha Baruch Atai exists throughout Leviticus and ends the book. But by pulling the portion apart, we ask, why? Why are feminine values suppressed? Can we weave that into 21st century life and also respect Torah, this most sacred text? To disagree with strict words of the law is not unusual in our Jewish tradition, but reward and punishment are not all that we saw. The consequences of good and evil abound, turning each of us into a Yisraela for sure, wrestling with and tossing so many words around. Alas, we have endeavored to find our choices. We share with you now our own words crafted with much perseverance and thought. Hear our voices.
In Bechukotai, verse 27, 1 through 7, we read, "When anyone explicitly vows to God the equivalent for a human being, the following shall apply. If it is a male from 20 to 60 years of age, the equivalent is 50 shekels of silver by the sanctuary weight. If it is a female, the equivalent is 30 shekels. If the age is from 5 to 20 years, the equivalent is 20 shekels for a male and 10 shekels for a female. If the age is from 1 month to 5 years, the equivalent for a male is 5 shekels of silver, and the equivalent for a female is 3 shekels of silver. If the age is 60 years or over, the equivalent is 15 shekels in the case of a male, and 10 shekels for a female." When I read this portion, I was convinced I wanted to talk about this. "But it's sacred," she said. "It's about vows to God," he said. "You can't play with that," they told me. In my well-behaved, good girl way, I said, "He must be right. I guess she's right. I'll find something else to write about." Then I remember, I no longer am that black and white thinker I was once taught to be. I'm not that good little girl anymore. I have grown. I'm both and thinker. So when I read in Torah that a female is of lesser value, I no longer accept it, even though it might have suited for the time. In the world in which I lived my 73 years, I know, without a doubt, a female is at least equal. It's at least of equal value based upon all aspects of human life. After lots of years of adult study, thanks to amazing teachers, many of whom are here today, I have grown to understand our Torah and texts as inspired by a living connective energy called God. And even though our texts are known to be primarily written by men, they still inspire me to action that helps me become the best, most human female Jew I can be. I found a poem written by Rick Lupert with small edits by me, and I'd like to read it now. It's time for a rewrite. There are 1,000 poems to write about how all genders should be priced equally. There are 1,000 more to write about why not to put a monetary value on any human. I thought someone else had written these poems already. I'm sure I read some of them. It's time to rewrite who gets what until all the lines look the same. Can you believe, in the news, men are deciding what will happen with women? I could swear these battles were already run when Y2K came along. Don't we have bigger things to think about, worry about? Has anyone noticed the earth is melting? Some countries have taken it upon themselves to take other countries. A man walked into a supermarket to kill black people, and that wasn't his whole plan. There are children dead in our cities, killed by a man who was barely no longer a child, thanks to guns as easy as vending machine snacks. How are we still focused on separating people who have unique identifying characteristics? Women are worth all my shekels. When the glass ceiling is forged in ancient text, it's time to take up our pens, or use your iPad if you'd rather. This rewriting, it's long overdue. And next.
Leviticus chapter 26, verses 3 to 7 states, "If you follow my laws and faithfully observe my commandments, I will grant your rains in their season, so that the earth shall yield its produce and the trees of the field their fruit. Your threshing shall overtake the vintage, your vintage shall overtake the sowing. You shall eat your fill of bread and dwell securely in your land. I will grant you peace in the land, and you shall lie down." Peace in the land, and you shall lie down untroubled by anyone. I will give the land respite from vicious beasts, and no sword shall cross your land. Your army shall give chase to your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword. This picture seems counterintuitive to me. This that I just read is the reward that God gives to God's people if they follow the law. This is not the punishment if they do not. Yet God has inserted in this reward for good behavior, right action, a type of safety valve. Alas, an army to, quote, "give chase to your enemies." Moving on in chapter 26, beginning with verse 14, explains the punishment for disobeying God's commandments. In verse 15, God states, "I will wreak misery upon you." And then God continues to describe words of every possible punishment imaginable. In the litany of punishments, there is made mention several times enemies, foes. It is overwhelming enough to think of facing punishments for disobedience, but to learn that rewards also include such things, it just absolutely throws me. Who shall fall before you by the sword? It's difficult to grasp when God reveals that part of God's reward is no sword shall cross your land. In other words, whose sword is this? It is, of course, a metaphor for the concept of battle with one's enemy. But to grant rewards to God's people, it seems that God must also protect the people by giving them a sword just in case a sword shall cross their land. Lest I sound naive, I'm fully aware of the existence of right and wrong, as well as the more basic good and evil that we live by. God promises protection from our enemies who are presumed to be right, to be wrong, and to be evil. We, God's people, are given a sword, when my ideal of a reward is the extension only of good and right. In other words, there is a reward for following God's commandments, where nothing resembling punishment, that is, wrong and evil, should exist, I think. So, why does God give us a sword, the symbol of wrongdoing and evil, as part of our reward? Well, I suggest it's because God knows the nature of human beings, whether God's people or others whom God has also presumably created. God does not seem to totally trust human beings to always do the right thing. Sadly, this appears to be all too true through the ages. In the Torah, a woman's commentary, each chapter of the Torah is adorned with commentary from a variety of respected, often well-known Jewish women's voices. Following the chapter, Bechukotai, is a poem by Yira Sugarman. It's entitled Broken Prayer. I quote, "Dear God of Israel, my heart is a ship on high swells, a reed cradle, lapis lit with affliction. You who made the heart whole, why do you unfasten from it the soul, so glass, so broken?" These words resonate deeply within my own heart. The brokenness feels palpable, the fragility of the human condition inevitable. When our hearts and our souls are disconnected, we are more apt to create wrongdoing, even evil. And so we must face the punishment that follows. Perhaps the free will choices we make apart from God are responsibilities God warns us to be aware of. And so the sword is ever present to remind us of the choices we must make and how we make them. As I contemplate further Leviticus 26, I cannot help but remember the book of Isaiah, chapter 2, verse 4. "And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore." What, I ask, if anything, have we learned from this prophet's cry? In closing, I think of the 13th century Sufi mystic poet, best known as Rumi, whose words reflect my thoughts of reward and punishment, right doing and wrongdoing, good and evil. And I quote, "Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there."
I don't think there's going to be anything as hard as following Judith Stavar when I know you would rather, at least I would rather, just sit and absorb what she said and think about it. But now you've got me. So what I wrote is almost a follow-up, and I didn't know, that it would turn out that way. So not as beautifully expressed. Morality and ethics, the carrot and the stick. This week's Parsha Bechukotai begins with a very short list of blessings on the Hebrew community that follows God's commandments, and an explosion of curses on the one that doesn't. This got me to wondering, why offer both rewards and punishments? Why the carrot and the stick? Why not just the carrot? About 250 years ago, the German philosopher Immanuel Kant wrote the groundwork to the metaphysics of morals. I don't know if you've read that. In it, Kant argued that the only thing that has true moral worth is what he called the good will. The good will is the desire to do good for its own sake, regardless of what rewards might accrue. According to Kant's powerful concept, both the carrot and the stick are faulty means for inspiring the will to be and do good. The carrot assumes that people will be more inclined to do good if it results in their personal or collective gain. The stick assumes that people will be motivated to do good only if the consequences to them or their loved ones or community of not doing so are dire. Moreover, carrot and stick, reward and punishment, are administered by an outside power that defines what goodness is. This can seem somewhat arbitrary, even if the defining power is Adonai. That is why each of us here can opine that some commandments which might have made sense in the dim, distant, formative past of our people do not constitute good practice today. But back to the carrot. Does it even work? Alfie Cohen, in an old Harvard Business Review article, says it well. Punishment and rewards are actually two sides of the same coin. Both have a punitive effect because they are manipulative. Cohen continues, do rewards work? The answer depends on what we mean by work. Research suggests that by and large, rewards succeed at securing one thing only: temporary compliance. When it comes to producing lasting change in attitudes and behavior, rewards are strikingly ineffective. Once the rewards run out, people revert to their old behaviors. Studies have shown that offering incentives for losing weight, quitting smoking, using seatbelts, acting generously even, is not only less effective than other strategies, but sometimes prove worse than doing nothing at all by stimulating the opposite of the desired behavior as a resistance to being manipulated. Incentives do not alter the attitudes that underlie our behaviors. They do not create an enduring commitment to any value or action. Rather, incentives merely and temporarily change what we do. The lack of firm and lasting commitment to the precepts traditionally dictated by Adonai is one of the overarching themes of Tanakh. The people Israel lapse and lapse and lapse again. What they see as reward and punishment does little to keep them from repeating their forbidden conducts. Neither the carrot nor the stick produces lasting obedience, because only a few outstanding individuals in every biblical generation seems to succeed in internalizing God's revealed concept of what it means to be good. Actions, and they are the ones who act righteously for its own sake. Struggling with Bechukotai led me also to formulate a distinction between what I considered personal morals and ethical values. My own distinction, correct or not, is that morals are an individual concern, whereas ethics define group behaviors. They are interdependent in that there cannot be a system of ethics which is not grounded in moral principles, and morals are largely developed within an ethical environment or framework. As I read it, the 10 Commandments which were delivered at Sinai are moral principles, in that each individual is personally responsible for making a commitment to observe each one. The Levitical rules, by contrast, seem especially formulated to extend moral principles out into society. Don't place a stumbling block before the blind, keep honest weights and measures, give the day laborer his wage by nightfall, and so forth. The 10 Commandments define a moral person. The entire list of Levitical commands define a just or ethical society. The opening of Bechukotai reminds us that we are responsible not only to ourselves, but to our social group as a whole. The well-being of the group, defined in Torah by blessings, is dependent upon the morality and good behavior of the majority. The misfortunes or downfall of the group, defined in the Torah by curses, is brought about by the immorality or lack of ethics in a group. It's kind of, I decided like the concept of herd immunity. If the majority of people gets vaccinated, more people will be safe, and if the majority doesn't, more people will get sick. That's how I saw it. That is the reason that we are urged to teach moral commands diligently to the next generation. I don't think that the writers and editors of our Mosaic Torah, most of which was written far later than the events depicted, were so naive as to believe that there was a genuine one-to-one correspondence between the behavior of individuals and the observable rewards or punishments accrued to them. But the vivid descriptions of the horrors of disobedience were certainly meant to jolt and disturb the corrupt kings and complacent sycophants who were responsible for the governance and well-being of the people. My takeaway is that to live a good life is to continually examine one's own moral principles, to strengthen and promote those which contribute to the affirmation of life, and to discard those which weaken it. Shabbat Shalom.
This is going to be really short. And very personal. I'm a Jew, and I don't question that, and I've been struggling. I'm having trouble with reconciling the God who I learned about as a child and the warring God we read about in the Torah. How do I reconcile the God of war and destruction and the God who made our wondrous world of birds, flowers, insects, butterflies, trees, mammals, and the interrelationships between all of them? When and how do I give myself permission to question?
Please join me on page 145 for Benji Allen Schiller's setting of the text Lamdani. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my days be as the one before, lest routine set my ways. Lamdeni Elohai, barech vehitpalel. Lamdemet et siftotai, bracha v'shir halel. Lamdeni Elohai, barech v'hitpalel. Lamed et siftotai, bracha v'shir halel. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, of ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my days be as the one before, lest routine set my ways. Lamdeni Elohai, barech vehitpalel. Lamed et siftotai, bracha vehitpalel. Lameni Elohai, barech vehitpalel. Lamed et siftotai, bracha v'shir halel. Please rise and join me on page 586 for the Aleinu. Aleinu l'shapeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ,
In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now part of us as we remember them.
The Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, is on page 586 of the Siddur. We think especially today of Bob Lieb, who just passed away and was laid to rest this week. We think of the Israeli soldiers who gave their lives this week in Gaza: Shachar Sudeh, Amir Galalov, Uri Bar Or, Ido Apple, Yedidia Azugi, Eliza Hillel, Diego Hersaj, Adar Gabriel, and Yonatan Elias. And the following, who have members of our congregation saying Kaddish for them in the year following the death: Allie Kravitz, Marcia Fenson, Nancy Osterman, David Hestad, Gary Sobel, Chip Alberts, Hank Borkovitz, Jonathan Frank, Stan Aronoff, Dick Kuhn, Yehuda Yanai, Bill Fox, Marcia Reese, Maxine Cohn, Dr. Joseph Bear Marcus, Ron Sinclair, Margot Hirsch, Jim Stillman, Jim Karlowitz, John Labotsky, Kermit Bott, Ruth Lowenstein, Foster Padway, Geraldine Schmidman, and Jack Zevell. And the following, whose yahrzeit or yearly anniversary of death falls this week: Goldie Anoff Borkovitz, Dr. Maurice Ansfield, Sibylia Bibby Lieberman, Florence Borstein, Bob Brill, Arnold Fox, Fanny Frank, Jenny Friedlander, Jenny Gilman, Arthur Goldstein, Sarah Goldstein, Susan Israel, Martin Jacobs, Tilly Jacobs, Rosa Milano, John Roberts, Paul Rosenberg, Arthur Ross, Catherine Ross, Esther Sametz, Edith Sarah Shermer, and Dorothy Lubar Zucker. If there is anyone here who is mourning the recent passing of a friend or loved one, or who is observing the yahrzeit anniversary of a loved one's death whose name I didn't mention, I would ask you please to share those names aloud with us at this moment.
Ellen Butcher.
Thank you.
Eddie Bond. Jim Powell.
Deborah Hens.
Harold Duskin and Jen Goldberg.
We continue with Kaddish.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma divrach chiroteh v'yamlich malchuteh V'chayechon v'yomechon V'chayeh d'chol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach Li'olam u'lalmei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal Shemei Dekudesha
Barichu.
Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata Tushbachata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
May the source of peace, who makes peace in the highest heavens, enable us to learn how to make peace here on earth. And may God grant to those in mourning a measure of consolation and comfort. And together we say, Amen. Please have a seat. Who's doing announcements?
Hello, everyone. What a wonderful service. Tonight's Oneg is sponsored by Lydia Regier Madrigal in honor of Marco and Mateo Madrigal's B'nai Mitzvah. We are grateful for the contributions made this week to our Sinai community in memory of Fanny Frank, Arthur Ross, Edith Sarah Shermer, Arthur Goldstein, Catherine Ross, Dorothy Zucker, Paul Rosenberg, Esther Samitz, and Bob Lieb, and also in honor of Ramona Tenorio and Judith Ross. Join us for the following programs that are coming up this month. Achenu, the men's spirituality group, meets Sunday, June 2nd at 8:30 in the morning. Next week is MCRC Shabbat with Rabbi Rick Jacobs, the president of the Union of Reformed Judaism. That will be Friday night, June 7th at 7 p.m. The service is at Congregation Shalom. There will be no service here at Sinai. We'll all be at Shalom, so join us there. Brit Nashim meets Monday, June 10th at Sinai for a planning meeting and potluck. 2 weeks from now is Pride Shabbat with Rabbi Bonnie Margulis. That's Friday, June 14th. The discussion is the intersection of voting and LGBTQ and justice. 5:00 p.m. is a potluck dinner. Please RSVP by June 7th, and a 6 p.m. service. There is also the Brotherhood Burger and Beer Bash, ! Wednesday, June 19th. This will be from 5:30 to 7:30 on the Sinai patio. This is open to all men of Sinai, and it is free. And then please refer to the Tuesday and Friday Sinai e-news for the latest programming, registration information, live stream, Zoom links, etc. Thank you.
I encourage you both to come. Just when you thought it was over. Rick Jacobs, who's a rabbi who is the president of the Union for Reformed Judaism, is speaking at Shalom next week. He's wonderful. But save April 4th, 2025, because we will be hosting the MCRC Shabbat of all the Reformed congregations in the area. And the speaker will be Dr. Elsie Stern. Elsie is probably the smartest person I know. And she has been tapped to edit the new Torah commentary that the movement is producing. The one that we still use is from 75, maybe? Gunther Plout of Toronto, may he rest in peace. This will be different. We've had since then the Women's Torah commentary, which has done yeoman's work, or yeowoman's work, I would say. And Elsie's going to be extraordinary. And there were so many things that women said tonight about reading the Torah and how do you deal with this stuff that I think she'll be grappling with as well. Shall we? Please rise. The blessing for candles is on page 120.
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher Kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Amen. Okay, not quite. On page 123, you'll find, the words for the Shabbat evening Kiddush. And it's my pleasure to ask Marco and Matteo to join us in leading. Do we have what? There's somebody else. Nancy. Rachel? Page 123. And you'll be in good hands up here, so.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'yahava u'ratzon hinifilanu, zikaron l'maseh bereshit, ki hu yom techila l'nekrai kodesh, zecher yitziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava u'v'ratzon, hinchaltanu, baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat.
Leave some for your brother. Well done. And Nancy, you're coming up to help with the motzi? Right this way.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon.
Isn't somebody? It is a Jillian. And Jan? Okay, good.
I'm asking everyone to repeat each phrase after me. We wish you health.
We wish you health.
We wish you happiness.
We wish you happiness.
We wish you shalom.
We wish you shalom.
And I want to thank everyone for coming and thank all those who participated so lovely. Thank you. Shabbat shalom.